I'm Ric Edelman. On today's show, have you ever wondered what it would cost to fly on a private jet? And what should you look for in a financial advisor? Should you pay off your mortgage? We'll have solid advice on all that and much more, including an interview with Denise Austin, the fitness pro who proves that there's a lot in common between health and wealth. All that and more on this edition of The Truth About Money.
Best-selling author and founder of one of the nation's largest financial planning firms, Ric Edelman.
You've got to get from here to there. A taxi might work, but if the trip is a long one, you might want a taxi of a different sort. Here's my colleague Anderson Wozni with the details.
Let's take a look inside and see what it's like to have the other half. What does this plane cost roughly? Talking dollar amount.
Well, this is a medium-sized Citation jet, goes about 10 to 12 million.
This doesn't have a bed, I see. How big would it have to have a bed?
You can go all the way to a 777 and jumbo for private airplanes, where you can have bedroom, shower, exercise.
An exercise, wow.
You want to jump in there?
Yeah, let's take a peek at what it's like to get at the controls on one of these things.
If you love to fly, you would really enjoy this. A very forgiving airplane and fast.
Fast. How fast?
525 miles about, or 80% of the speed of sound.
What would be the primary use for a plane like this?
Usually for business people to take advantage of time and be efficient.
If I were going to spend $10 million on a plane, what would it cost to keep it operating on an annual basis?
A rule of thumb is 1/3 of what you have to pay.
1/3. Okay, so if I'm doing my math right, that sounds like about $3 million on a plane like.
More or less.
More or less. Well, thank you so much for showing us around. This is an absolutely gorgeous plane. Absolutely would love the opportunity to be in a position to one day own one of these suckers.
You're welcome.
Thank you so much.
Anderson, great to have you on the show.
Thank you for having me.
What struck me the most is that he said at the outset that plane was a $12 million aircraft, but that you really don't need $12 million anymore to charter a jet. You can literally hire these things by the hour, just like you would a taxi or a limo.
Well, and that's the great thing about it. You don't have to fork out the $10 to $12 million just to buy the plane, plus the third of the cost of the aircraft per year in maintenance. Now you can either rent a jet for a period of time, just for a short hop if you need one, or you can get a NetJet card or something along those lines where you're buying a certain number of hours for a certain number of years.
And still, though, it's going to cost several $1,000s an hour equivalent to fly one of these things. And the folks who are doing that most often, let's face it, aside from the rich and famous, are business executives who have to get in short-haul flights from Boston to New York or New York to Washington. The flight that might only be an hour long, and people would say, well, why? How do you justify that for an hour?
Well, it's actually quite easy to justify when you talk about an executive who's making $1 million a year, who, if he's flying from New York to Boston, which might take an hour, he's got to get to the airport 2 hours ahead of time to fight through security. He's got to wait for the plane, hope that everything's on time, hope the crew's ready, hope the pilot's got the keys, and then he's got to take 30 minutes to get off the plane, get his taxi, get to where he's going once he lands in Boston.
And this is a guy who's making the equivalent of $500 an hour, and for him to be wasting all of that time is a bad use of the company's resources. So they can take that 4-hour effort of security and all that nonsense and literally cut it down to just the time it takes to get to the airport and get off the plane.
Absolutely, and during that time, he's got plenty of time to work.
Which is not terribly easy to do when you're in that middle seat and coach.
Not at all.
Anderson, thanks very much.
Thank you.
The federal income tax has existed since which year? 1776, 1812, 1865, 1913, or 1941?
At a recent conference, investment advisors were asked just one question. What was their funniest job-related story?
A client that refused to ever spend money, who was very wealthy, and I had them buy a car because their 10-year-old car broke down on the way to my office, and they named it after me.
People often ask me for a tip of the day, what I'm buying, and I tell them I'm buying exactly what they're buying. I'm buying everything all the time.
I had a client once that wanted to start a not-for-profit academy for pole dancers.
I had a client tell me he'd met with his psychic, and his psychic had told him that I would make him a lot of money.
The federal income tax has existed since which year?
A federal income tax probably began in the 20s or 30s.
Gosh,
I
Tara.
have no idea. Absolutely no idea.
I'm trying to think of under what president it would have been under. I don't know, 1930s?
I have no idea.
The correct answer is D. The federal income tax has existed since 1913.
Victor, how can we help you?
My mortgage is now down to about $33,000. I could pay it off right now if I want to. The principal is about $164 a month that I pay. The interest is now down to about maybe $154. Can I pay it off now, or should I just continue to nibble at it a little bit at a time?
You can pay it off, certainly, and it's interesting how a lot of folks don't realize how mortgages work. I mean, we kind of get it, but we don't think about it often. Your mortgage payment is a combination of interest and principal, and in the beginning of the term, let's say you got a 30-year mortgage, that very first payment you make is almost entirely interest. Well, as you pay the mortgage over years, it becomes less and less interest, more and more principal. And by the time you get down to the last 5 or 7 years of a mortgage, who cares what the interest rate is? You're not paying any interest at all. It's like 90%, 95% principal. So at that point, why write a check and pay it off? You're not spending any money, Victor, because it's mostly principal. So why do you want to give the bank your cash for no reason, right?
Yeah, quite frankly, I was thinking about the other thing. I was just refinance the sucker and pay interest again.
Exactly. Start the clock over again. In other words, if you're only paying out of that payment 5 or 10% of it is interest, that means your tax deduction is virtually nil. So start the clock over, refinance, go get a brand new 30-year loan, and now all of a sudden, instead of 10% of the payment being interest, 90% of the payment will be interest, and your tax deduction will skyrocket, and you'll save a ton of money on taxes.
Not only that, the interest rate is more likely going to be a lot less than what is stated on your loan right now anyway.
Which means the total payment is probably going to be lower than his current payment, but the tax deduction will be dramatically higher, which means the net cost will be a fraction of what your current cost is, and you get to keep the money instead of giving the money to the bank. So in a weird way, Victor, we're telling you the exact opposite of your thought. Instead of saying, gee, the loan is almost over with, I might as well pay it off, our attitude is, the loan is almost over with, start over.
Right.
Thanks so much for the call.
This has been a strange year, for the country, and the money thing, money's tight, right? America's broke. And they say it on the news like we don't know that. They show everybody in the mall, everybody's shopping, and then they keep saying, and America's broke. Again, like you'd forget that. Like you're at the Mercedes dealer and you're like, oh, I forgot. I'm broke. Why am I here? I'm glad I tuned into the news today. I didn't know I was broke.
Hi, Rick. My question is, we as individual investors, our horizon is typically long-term, saving for retirement, saving for our children's education. So how do we, when we are picking investments and we look at the landscape that's out there, how do we reconcile that with the investments that are available when Wall Street's focus seems to be on the next quarter and the next year?
It's a really good question. There seems to be a schizophrenia about it. It's almost as though the investment community is bipolar. On the one hand, you're focusing on long-term goals, paying attention to your kids' college education, which is 10, 15 years away, your own retirement, which might be 20 or 30 years away. while at the same time, the evening news tells you what the Dow Jones Industrial Average did today. And you get a statement in the mail that tells you how your account did in the last 30 days. And then at the end of the year, it tells you how it did over the last 12 months. Well, how do you reconcile the emphasis by Wall Street on short term compared to your focus, which is long term? It's real simple. Keep doing what you're doing and completely ignore what message Wall Street is feeding to you and the message that the media is feeding to you. They're wrong and you're right. It's really that simple. What we have to recognize is that there are two different breeds of people involved in the entire Wall Street machine. There are traders and there are investors. The traders care very much about what's going on moment by moment in the market. They are trying to capitalize on what's going to happen next. They actually believe that they're smart enough to know what's going to happen next. They're wrong, and nobody successfully serves as a trader for long periods of time, at least not with their own money. What successful traders do is trade other people's money, and the other people's money they're trading changes all the time, because you'll let them trade your money for a while until you realize they don't know what they're doing. You'll quit, someone else will step in. So traders are always dealing with what we call OPM, other people's money. They're very rarely dealing with their own money because they realize they make more money trading your money than they would ever make trading their own money. So traders are interested in the ticker, the moment-by-moment activity on Wall Street. Much of the media pays attention to those traders. The cable networks that are entirely devoted to Wall Street are focused on those traders. They have very small audiences because the vast majority of America couldn't care less about the ongoing minute-by-minute trading activity. So the traders are in one camp, small part of the country. The rest of the country are people like you, investors, not traders. Investors don't really care about the minute-by-minute trading activity. We care about the long-term trends, what's going to happen over decades, not merely hours, days, weeks, or months. Let me give you the best analogy that I can for it. It's the difference between a surfer and a sailor. Surfers care very much about the waves. And surfers get excited about the waves. The bigger the waves get, the happier surfers are. Sometimes they get wiped out. But no matter how big that wave is, whether it's a tsunami, a tidal wave, created by a massive earthquake, no matter how huge a wave might be, it has no impact on the tides. By focusing on the tides, sailors are able to get from one continent to another sailing across the seas. Surfers get wiped out. So while you're trying to figure out how do I invest with a long-term focus when you're barraged by short-term news and commentary and events, act like the sailor, not like the surfer. Just literally ignore it. It's not information, it's noise. It's what we call financial pornography. And it's disruptive, it's interfering, it takes your eye off the ball of what you're trying to focus on, serves no useful purpose. Keep doing what you're doing, focus on the long term, and tune out the noise that the media and Wall Street are foisting on you. Simple as that.
Thank you.
Hi, Rick. I was wondering if you work just part-time and they don't offer 401k, what's the best way to save?
Well, I don't care whether your boss offers a retirement plan or not. You do need to save. It's ideal when your boss does offer a 401k or other plan because they make it so convenient for you to contribute to that savings plan. And it's painless and it's all tax deductible. Fabulous. But part-time workers usually discover that they don't qualify to participate in their employer's retirement plan. So I would offer you the following. Number one, save on your own. Set up an IRA, an individual retirement account. You can do this pretty much anywhere in the financial services arena. You can go to a stockbroker, a financial planner, you can go to a bank, you can go to an insurance company, you can go directly to mutual fund companies, discount brokerage firms. Pretty much everybody in the financial industry will offer you the ability to open an IRA account. And you can do this with remarkably small amounts of money, as little as $25, as much as $5,000. So don't hesitate to open an IRA account immediately. I'll take it a step further. You're probably working part-time because you're in school and you don't have the ability to get full-time work yet. Or due to the economy, you haven't been able to find a full-time job. Understood. Keep working as hard as you can to get that full-time employment. If, however, you are with an employer on a full-time basis that does not offer you a 401k, quit that job and join another. Oh, don't quit the job till you get the new job, but start looking immediately for a job with a company that does offer a retirement plan. What most workers fail to understand is that 40% of your total compensation comes in the form of non-cash comp. I'm talking about things like paid vacation, health insurance, and retirement plan contributions. So if your boss isn't offering you a 401k and doesn't contribute to that plan on your behalf, you're losing out on a big part of your paycheck. So go work for a company that offers a retirement plan. Come retirement time, you'll be really glad you did.
The mail comes in, you check everything out. You know, William, Bill, and put all of the bills in a box, and when the box gets full, you move. That's how I take care of my bill. Bankers are crooks. They was giving all the, that's why we in the recession now, because the bankers are crooks. It started out giving everybody a loan. All you had to do was have $1,000 down payment, it'd give you a $100,000 loan for a house. What were they thinking? That I was gonna pay them? I was just gonna live there till the bills stack up and move.
Is this statement true or false? An IRA is an investment. We'll be back later with the answer.
For more than 25 years, Denise Austin has been one of the nation's biggest fitness proponents. She's sold more than 20 million exercise videos and DVDs, starred in fitness television shows since the 1980s, and has written 10 books. I've only got 7. Denise has also got an online diet and fitness program and has no signs of slowing down. Denise.
Aw, thank you.
Thank you for being with me today.
It's great.
I'm a big deal about a wealth proponent, but you're one of the nation's preeminent health proponents.
Well, I try.
How did you get your start?
Well, Jack LaLanne gave me my first start on television in 1981. I saw him at a dinner, so I ran up to him and said, "Oh, Jack, my mom's been exercising with you for years. Can I come on and do some exercise on your show?"
At home watching him on TV
yes,
was a
when I was a little
devotee.
girl.
So you grew up with Jack LaLanne, as I did,
Yes.
and so many others in America, and no one handed you anything. You went out and grabbed the opportunity. Here's this guy, you only know him from watching him on TV. He's an American icon.
Right.
Well, what gave you the gumption to go bossy up to this guy in front of everyone else and say, "Hey, dude, I'm your gal"?
It's in me. I just did it, and it paid off because he gave me my first start on TV, and then I became his co-host with his wife, Elaine LaLanne, and he passed away last year, and I got an opportunity to, say a few words at his celebration of life with Arnold.
What a combination that is. The reason I'm asking how you got your start, and you've told this story often about your relationship with Jack LaLanne and how you just went for it and with your gusto just took it. Because a big issue in the field of personal finance, and I have to assume it's the same thing in physical fitness, it's all up to your own motivation. No one's going to hand this to you.
Cold calls, make it. Did you know I called Steve Friedman from the Today Show in 1984? 35 times I left a message with that secretary. "Could you have Steve Friedman call me back? It's Denise Austin. I want to do fitness tips on the Today Show." And finally, I called it a different time, 6:30 at night, and he answered.
Wait. The other 34 were all you called at the same time of day?
Well, 9 to 5. I've tried to be respectful. And then one night I said, I'm going to call him at a different time. I called at 6:30, answered the phone. He said, "I love your enthusiasm. Come on up, make a presentation to me." And I was there the next Monday, and I became the fitness expert for 4 years on the Today Show.
So that sounds like lesson number 1 is it's all up to you.
Go for it.
Perseverance.
Yes, perseverance. Determination. I believed in myself. I have my degree. I was a gymnast, so I had discipline. I knew what I wanted to do. I work hard. So there was nothing I could lose. I mean, what the heck?
Now, was this a calling for just the physical elements, the health elements, or was there any motivated self-interest on your part of, hey, I can make a pretty decent living at this?
Well, it first started, I didn't even think of money. I just thought of, this is what I want to do, teach aerobics in the early 80s in Los Angeles, where right when it was just starting. And then Jane Fonda came out with DVDs by 1984, videos, VHS, and I thought, oh my gosh, well, I'm on TV. I think I could make one of those. So I just kept thinking of different new ways to, there was no blueprint to this. So I just continued to make phone calls and just kept going, and it worked. And now I love what I do. I've always loved, and my mission is to help everybody love to get out there and do something good for your body so you feel healthier. Honestly, your health is the best investment you can make. And I honestly only work out 30 minutes, but I do it most every single day. So it's almost like a little money in the bank every day, taking care of your health, a little here, saving some time, cornering your little 30 minutes to work out to take care of your health is similar to saving in the bank or better financial investments like you have.
Now, you just said something else that I find really interesting. I would assume that most people believe that somebody who is as fit as you and is familiar with physiology and such would be working out hours every day.
I don't have time. I work full time. I'm a mom. I stay in the community.
So you can accomplish what you need to accomplish physically in a remarkably short period.
Right. Wake up early, get up early, 30 minutes, squeeze it in. You can do it. You could do exercise right at the office. Pull in your tummy, tense and tighten it up for 5 seconds, like an isometric exercise, and that's equal to 1 sit-up. Now you can do it with your rear end. Look great from behind. Squeeze your buttocks, because if you don't squeeze it, no one else will. Come on. So there's lots of toning and tightening that you could do throughout the day.
Denise, thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you. It was so much fun.
And I had as much fun as Denise, and so much so we're going to bring you a second interview with Denise Austin. If you'd like to join us for that, stay tuned for a future edition of The Truth About Money.
Is this statement true or false? An IRA is an investment. The statement is false. An IRA is not an investment. It's simply money the tax code treats differently from other money. You can take almost any kind of investment and place it into an IRA account at many different kinds of financial institutions.
Before we go, a couple of thoughts about today's show. Achieving what you want, whether it's financial success or tight muscles like Denise Austin has, doesn't mean you have to spend all day doing it. Denise only does 30 minutes of exercise a day. And as we saw, business executives use private jets just to save an extra hour here and there. You can build a financial future the same way. Oh, I know, you'll say that, gee, I can't spend all day working on my retirement plan or seeing that financial advisor. It just takes too much time. Well, you know what? That's just an excuse. Successful investors spend less than an hour a week. It takes no time at all to build a rich, fulfilling life. And whether it's health or wealth, it really is within your reach. And that's the truth about money. I'm Ric Edelman. See you next week.